Hi, this video uses a personal story to show that through paradoxical thinking, it is possible to change your mindset and who you think you are. That is your identity. And then change the way you see the world. Changing your mindset doesn't replace your old one, it expands it. By gaining a new perspective without losing the old, you increase your awareness, flexibility, and freedom to choose how you respond. So, what is paradoxical thinking? It's the ability to hold two seemingly contradictory ideas at the same time and work with both, rather than choosing one over the other. In doing so, it loosens fixed mindsets and opens a door to new possibilities. Through my story of singing in the street, I demonstrate how paradoxical thinking helped me transform limiting beliefs, reshape my identity, and change the world as I perceived it. I hope it helps you do the same. My story starts from seeing someone sing freely and joyfully in the street. I became fascinated by what it would take for me to do the same, so I decided to experiment on myself. The idea of this terrified me, particularly given that I cannot sing well. I believed that I would embarrass myself and look like an idiot. What began as a deliberate experiment about changing a belief about singing in public uncovered a more deeply held belief about not belonging. As I'm an Italian immigrant, I felt that I didn't belong in Australia. In school, I was called a wog and told to go back to where I came from. I learned to be an invisible observer, so singing in public was deeply confronting and extremely challenging. But I was determined to face it. I started by learning a song. I chose Three Dog Night's Joy to the World, as I wanted to express joy in singing. Then I chose a location, the Kerford Road Pier in Albert Park, Melbourne, because it wasn't too crowded. I stood at the entrance to the pier. The reality of the challenge hit me hard. I was scared. So I started by unpacking my fear through an internal dialogue, and it went something like this. I'm scared that people will think I'm an idiot. But you thought that cyclist singing was courageous and inspirational. But I believe that others will think I'm foolish. Why can't you think that you'll inspire others too? The truth is, you won't know what others think. Why not allow yourself to not know what they think? I can see that, but really, why do it? Who am I to do this? You're doing it because you know that if you can change, then it's possible for others to as well. So you're doing it for yourself and others. You know that others would feel the same fear. You are the same as everyone else. This thought gave me a feeling of connection with others. It feels comforting, but I'm still scared. But you're not going to do it if you're scared and not free and joyful. So I'm only going to do it if it's easy. That's great. So it's okay if I don't do it and okay if I do. This felt freeing. Paradoxical thinking loosened my fixed mindset. The world seemed different, safer, more open and more connected. The freedom not to sing dissolved my fear of singing. As that fear faded, what once seemed impossible became possible. At this point, I noticed that a new belief was developing in me, one about giving people something positive, whether it was to inspire them or simply make them smile and give them joy. It seemed very easy and felt like a contribution, and I started singing. I walked down the pier singing out loud. I made eye contact with people as I passed them. They simply looked and smiled. I got to the end of the pier and came across a man fishing. He had tattoos and no front teeth. He reminded me of the tough kids at school that mocked me as a migrant. He looked at me and said, "G'day, mate." I sat with him. I was comfortable. He started telling me about his hard life and that he loves to fish. I felt that I had connected with him. I said it was nice to meet him, wished him good luck and went on my way. I was feeling great. So I decided to challenge myself even further by driving into the bustling Albert Park shopping strip. I walked along the street singing. I was feeling free and joyful. Then a large, bald-headed man having coffee with his friends caught my eye. He got up dramatically and walked hurriedly towards me. My voice started to crackle with fear. He came up and stood directly in front of me, and then abruptly held up his hands with two thumbs up and said proudly, "Good on you, mate," then went back to his friends. I smiled and sang confidently again. I walked on singing and then walked into a bakery to get some lunch. I stood next to an old lady. She looked up at me and said, "You're a happy little Vegemite, aren't you?" I gave her a big smile and said, "Yep," and continued singing. From that point on, not only can I sing anywhere at any time, I feel that I belong, and I've inspired others to have the freedom to do the same through sharing this story. I still get scared to sing, but it doesn't stop me from doing it. The paradoxes I had to navigate through paradoxical thinking were freedom versus fear. I was free to act, yet afraid to act. Self-expression versus self-protection. I had to reveal myself to sing, yet conceal parts of myself to remain safe. Belonging versus not belonging. The more I wanted to belong, the less I felt I belonged. And knowing versus not knowing. I think I know what others think of me, yet I do not know. To navigate those paradoxes, I use the following guiding principles. 1. Know my intention. This set the goal and is my emotional and moral compass. 2. Know myself. This revealed my true fears, beliefs and limiting assumptions. 3. Know nothing. This dissolved those assumptions and allowed time to consider other possibilities. And 4. Know when I know nothing. This is my measure to detect if I had really changed. This is how they related to my story. Know my intention, my moral and emotional compass. Singing wasn't the goal, it was the test case. I was doing it for myself, to transform a limiting belief that was part of my current identity, and for others because my change could make change possible for them. You are everyone else. That shift expanded the act from something personal and risky into something shared and meaningful. What the principle did, it gave the act a goal and purpose, turning fear into something worth moving toward. Know myself, seeing the real fear clearly. Initially the fear appeared as assumptions. I can't sing. People would think I'm an idiot. But what I uncovered was deeper. Fear of rejection, fear of not belonging. The encounter with the fisherman becomes pivotal. He represented the feared other. But instead of rejection, I experienced connection. What the principle did, it revealed my limiting assumptions. Once they were revealed, they could be engaged with directly. Know nothing, letting go of assumptions. This is where I dismantled the core assumption of people will think I'm foolish and replaced it with the truth is I don't know what they'll think. I didn't substitute a positive belief. I removed the claim to knowing altogether. This collapsed projection and imagined judgment. What the principle did, it stripped away the false story that was generating fear, leaving me in contact with reality as it is, unknown. And finally, point 4, know when I know nothing. Recognising the paradigm shift. It's about detecting the internal shift that happens after letting go of false knowing. And in my story, the moment is clear. At this point, I noticed that a new belief was developing in me. The focus moved from self-protection to self-expression. I didn't force this shift. My measures were clear. It felt easy. It felt like a contribution. The world felt different, safer, more open, more connected. That's when I knew my paradigm had shifted and I had changed. Singing became the natural expression of the new paradigm. What the principle did, it gave me a way to recognise transformation as it was happening. I use my 4 guiding principles as a flexible framework, drawing on whichever is needed in the moment. They don't need to be applied in sequence. I often start with know nothing to surface or reveal assumptions before moving to the others. So, paradoxical thinking is complex and challenging, but also deeply valuable for creativity, curiosity, and connection. I hope this and my other videos help you to develop a paradox mindset. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and thank you for listening.